is Kirk Hilliard.
And this is Rusty Byrd. It's the Kirk and Byrd Show. And man, we are blessed to have this special holiday edition with us, Coach Mickey Thompson of Stonebridge High School, back-to-back state champions. Congratulations, Coach, and thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate you having me. Pretty exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, what you pulled off was just amazing. You went on a great run, undefeated, back-to-back state champions. You finished around, and can you just tell us a little bit about this season? Tell us a little bit about this. Okay, let's start out with the game. We've talked a little bit about. Let's talk about this game in particular. It was an amazing, just for those who may not have seen it or weren't there live like we were. You won for the second year in a row on the last second play. Can you tell us a little about the game momentum and how that whole ending kind of came about?
Well, it's one of those games where we're scoring at 80% of all the touches we have throughout the season. We score. And we get in that game, and the first two possessions, we don't score. We finally do score. Then we don't score again on another possession. So it changed the whole way you wanted to coach that game because, we go in thinking that we're going to be able to score at that kind of rate or close to it, and we're having problems. So it was a back and forth game. Statistically, it was about even. And it came down to, the last drive, the last two drives, which we got touches on. And we scored on our last two drives. And then, of course, with a minute left, going 90 yards is kind of improbable, but it did happen.
Yeah, Coach, I want to point out a couple of things. And that is, we don't have a statistician, but I did my best. I went to the VHSL records. It's been only about 20 teams that have won back-to-back, maybe 25. However, not 25 coaches. So you are in very unique territory. I think, taking a wild guess, there's only been about 10, 12 coaches that have won back-to-back. So you're in very special, company. And like I said before we started recording, you're the second team to win 2 championships in a calendar year because a great Oscar Smith team beat Vienna's James Madison. So
Madison,
but going back to the game, that was I think there was 2, maybe 3 punts, Coach. I remember your kids only punting once. It was a pooch, wasn't it? Just right, a one pooch by Jacob, and then I know they had one punt. So the flow of that game was up and down. And one thing that I liked is there were a couple daggers, like the fumble and then the one-handed catch. I never saw your kids, the body language. I never saw slumped shoulders. I never thought, and I just what a miraculous game. And, sitting in the stands, I was on the Stonebridge side, Rusty had to sit on the Maury side because he's got 2 nieces at Maury, but everybody got their camera out. It was like there was an expectation. So, that game was a physical game, and I know it turned out a lot different. Let's talk about that last play. Though, I mean, was that? You had 5 seconds. There was a timeout. Just tell us about that last play because I've watched it over and over again.
Well, first of all, if you look where we got when we went out, it was 9 seconds left. We could have had a chance for 2 plays. Why the clock kept running is curious to me, but. So we had 5 seconds left, and it's my son Patrick and Brian Wolf, Patrick Thompson and Brian Wolf, they run the pass offense. So it's something that we've been running. It just kind of isolates Zeke Winbush in a one-on-one situation on the backside, and it's not a Hail Mary, but it's
not a Hail Mary.
It's one of those things where you're just throwing it up to your guy, and. Defensive back, it's underthrown just a little bit. Under the defensive back slips, and we're able to make the catch and get in. Right. It's one of those things where, you're just giving your guy a chance to make a play, and he makes a play.
Right. Where was Zeke lined up? In the
tight end? He was in a tight end position, so we roll away from him, and then we give him the ball on a double move route, basically.
Yeah, because I was gonna point out. is that everybody's like the corner fell down. But like you said, at the end of the route, he made a move. Zeke made a move, and it turned that kid around. He did fall down, but he didn't just fall down. There was a move at the end, and then, pick the other player. I think if he wouldn't have fallen down, it would have been interesting to see if he could have made that 2 yards.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Coach, that's what it comes down to in these games. And we always talk about it. It's going to be your guys able to make a play in a tough situation. And, it's we've been fortunate the last two to have those guys step up and make plays, because they're not plays that a normal person can make. And, you have to be, at a higher level to make those plays. And Zeke and then Jacob the year before, they just stepped up and made those plays.
Go ahead, Rusty.
Coach. Yeah, Coach, I was on the Maury sideline, and, I was kind of neutral. I wanted, the success for my nieces and some of their classmates, but also representing Northern Virginia, and you. And I remember one of the things, my brother kept talking about, but you haven't seen Maury. They're great. And I was like, yeah, but I've seen Stonebridge, and they're never out of it. So I just kept, people around me were I was like, hey, these kids, they don't give up. They've played an extremely tough schedule. And so the crowd, we just kept talking, going back and forth. And one of the things I said is, I feel like whoever has the ball last in this game is going to win. Whoever has that last possession. And that turned out to be true. I think some people thought, oh, we're going to go to overtime. I was like, you just never know. I said, last year they won on the last play, and you guys won on the last play. And it was super exciting. And it's funny, Coach, I want to ask your opinion about this. I was recently listening to ESPN Daily. It's a morning podcast that Pablo Torre puts out. But one of his guests, they brought up the topic about momentum, and I believe in it. And the one reporter was saying, is momentum a real thing? Because the coach, he kind of said, well, we lost the game because the other team had momentum. Do you believe in? I want to ask, do you believe in momentum in football? And does it help you to win? And can it carry you on to a victory, or can it take away from your kids how they feel and play into a loss? But I do, and I thought you guys got that momentum and you got the confidence after that those last touches. But what are your thoughts on momentum and maybe that impacting the game?
I think I completely agree with you, and I think we as coaches need to coach momentum. You have to understand when momentum is on your side, when you can help with a few things coaching wise to get that momentum. That game was won by the drive before that last drive, because we're down 8, and we ran a couple single wing plays, and we got in 4 plays, and as soon as we got in, you could feel that they believed they could win at that point. We were in a little bit of trouble up until then, and that drive, getting in the end zone, getting the 2 points, tying the game, you could just feel the momentum turning. And you can't underestimate that. And kids thrive on that, and plays happen that you never expect to happen when you have momentum.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rusty. But I wanted to say something, because remember, Coach, when you went for 2 when you went for it on 4th against Highland Springs, and we were laughing. I was like, I don't know. And it was a great call. When you went for it 2, I was like, no, not a good call. But it all worked out for you. And what Rusty's talking about was so important, is when you had that ball, it was just such, a lot of people don't talk about the play before the last play, or the 2 plays. Boom, boom. And your kids just executed. Great coaching job. We talked this summer, you're like, this is not going to be an undefeated team. And, guess what? You're undefeated. But, obviously you did a great coaching job. But just talk about this unbelievable group of players, because there were so many kids that played well this year, especially the championship game.
Well, I think 2 things that stood out to me about the last 7 months is, we all have seniors, and we have the seniors that start, and then we have the seniors that don't play much. And, you're trying to make memories for both groups, and you're trying to create a culture. But last year's group of seniors, well, they were juniors and seniors, were guys that even if they didn't play, they were really instrumental in helping them practice, were into it, knew their stuff. So you come into this year after having a group that was working the whole time, but it didn't look good. But because they had worked and won a state championship the year before, they were ready to take that role. Like next year, I don't see us, over 500. But I say that every year because I don't see it right now. But
I'm going to name you Mickey Holtz.
Those kids, the kids coming up see it, and they will make a difference, and they will be so much better than we can ever anticipate because they just played a 15-game schedule. Whether they started or didn't play much, they still got better and they still believe. So when they start up next year, we're going to look at those guys and go, holy shit, I never thought that kid would be that good. But once it gets going and the culture gets going, you're going to have 5, 6, 7 surprises every year. And there were a lot of guys starting on defense for the first time that I never thought would be where they're at. Offensive line, I didn't see them being where they're at. I knew we had skilled people around, but I never would have dreamed that they would play at the level that they played at. And that's because of, one is, the culture and the relationships that we have with parents, players, and coaches. So it's kind of a unique thing that's going right now. And, like I look at next year and it doesn't look good, but they will all rise up and they'll play so much better than they have played, this year.
It doesn't look good. That's like Lou Holtz telling the media that they were going to lose the Navy every year. Okay, we're not buying that. So let's talk. First of all, tomorrow you guys had your ring fitting today. We're going to have on Jacob Thomas, Eli Mason, and Carter Sweezy. So we're going to let the players talk about it. We'll be a little different. We're going to have some fun with them. We want to tell everybody that they can find us on YouTube. We are Coach. Plug us. We can't pay you because I'm a Virginia Tech booster, but where can they find us on YouTube?
On the Kirk Hilliard show or whatever you call it. What do you call it? I asked you to tell me what you call it.
It's the Kirk and Byrd show.
Kirk Byrd show. That's right.
He barely lets me get a word in. The Kirk and Byrd show.
Well, look, Coach,
Kirk and Byrd show.
Coach, a lot of people think it should just be called Byrd show. But I let him, or especially Byrd and Kirk, but it kind of had a ring, Kirk and Byrd, so we went with that. But yeah, people, I will say this, Coach, it's surprising that you have really helped our show. We were at I was at the semifinal game, Highland Springs, and as I was leaving, I said something to somebody else. We just, people sitting together, and I said, hey, if you ever get a chance, check out the Kirk and Byrd show. And I didn't even know this gentleman. He goes, oh no, I saw it. I watched episode 30 this morning. It was one of the interviews with you, Coach. So people are learning and they're hearing about the show, and you may not know this, but at the state championship, we gave away some free Kirk and Byrd t-shirts, and people actually came up and asked for their shirt and said they support the show. So we appreciate you being on the show. You've helped this thing to grow, and we definitely love highlighting local sports teams, athletes, coaches, and you're one of the best to do it, Coach. And I will remind you that we picked out of the four games, I picked Stonebridge to beat Marne. Maybe it was because I had to. You were on the show, but I picked you guys. And the only one I got wrong, I think, was Phoebus Liberty Christian. But
I got Broad Run wrong.
And, yeah. But I, Coach, I will tell you, I'm proud of you guys. I thought the way you scheduled this year, I've always, it's always nice to go undefeated. That is amazing. But I've always thought, it's okay it's good to kind of challenge yourself with a tough schedule and have some adversity. And I saw that Freedom game, and, unlike a lot of games where you were kind of blowing out a lot of your opponents, that was a back and forth, and it prepared you for the game, the state championship game. And so I just love the coaching job you did. And I have no doubt that the kids will rise up next year and because you guys can coach. That's one of the things I saw, whether some years you hear off the chart with all these athletic players and this many stars, no matter what, whether it's one of those years or maybe you consider maybe a little less in terms of maybe the experience or talent or whatever, but every year you do a tremendous job of coaching. And I will tell, I was telling the fans at ODU at the stadium, I was like, this group of guys can coach. They have great kids. I know a lot of those kids. I coached against them, or I coached, especially in track. I know the Jeter family well. And so very, very, very just proud of the way you guys represent the area. The last thing I'll say, and I'll switch it over to you, Kirk, is, the discussion then became, what if Stonebridge played Smith? Thoughts on that, Coach?
What if Stonebridge played what?
Oscar Smith. If they had one more, if it was triple A.
I would love that. And that's the way it should be, really. I hate the Division 5, Division 6 stuff. I'd like to see it, have one more game, have a bye in those first games or whatever, or shorten up the postseason and then let 5 and 6 play at the end.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that's the old school.
Coach, I grew up Kirk and I, we grew up with, single A, double A, triple A, and it still took them a while before. No, maybe it was in basketball before they broke up the triple A into the 5 and 6. But yeah, I think you guys, and I look, I have a lot of friends, kids play for Smith, and I was in the stands like, you don't know, these Stonebridge kids will bring it to you. Like you cannot look at anybody's where they're going to college or whatever, or what their record has been. Like Stonebridge, I believe you could play within him. And you guys hear me when we post this on Hampton Roads High School football. I'm telling you, Stonebridge could play with Oscar Smith.
Well, those are all the people that said Stonebridge was going to have a long bus ride back home. I think that bus ride was about 10 minutes, because I was going on the tunnel, those bridges on Willoughby Spit. That's where Ocean View was. And your buses were going 100 miles an hour. But like I said, I want to give you a chance to talk about your seniors. I don't know if you can name all of them, but I went through the roster, and Solomon Davis played with my son for 5th grade. He had a great game. His name was called a lot. Carter Sweezy was like IHOP pancakes like crazy. I mean, he was playing well. I love the way Eli Mason plays. I don't know what he's going to play in college, but he's a ball player. And then, of course, Jacob, great athlete. Zach Lang, Colin Hart, number 7. I know he got hurt, but in that Hot Springs game, and I'm leaving some kids out. But if you want to talk, I know their families are integral part of this, but just give you a second to talk about your seniors, because I know I left some of them out.
Well, I know, you put me on the spot a little bit there, because you start naming a bunch of them, and the great thing about all these guys, I love all these guys, and they really they exemplify what we try to teach is you're not gonna have the stats that some of these other schools have. You're gonna wait for your time, and you're gonna take your shot, and you got to be ready for those few plays that are gonna matter. And we don't have, Eli Mason didn't even have as many yards as he had in the 7-game season. It's just a matter of, he's a great player, he's just not going to get that many touches. Right. And we're going to spread the ball around, and we're going to do the right thing, and they all buy into it. And all those guys were just tremendous players for us. We had the kickoffs up front, 2 other seniors up front, with Carter that kind of meshed well, and Johnny Dudley, who was our center. He played tight end last year, and he comes and plays center. And like you said, Solomon Davis playing in the front like that. He was outsized and outmanned in a lot of situations, and he scrambled and made plays. He just had a tremendous season. And there's so many guys that just played so well. And like I said, we had one meeting with Zach Lang. He was one of my favorite people, because from the corner position, he was able to lead and gain so much respect playing corner. And we just don't see that very often. And what he did was tremendous. What Jacob did was tremendous. And Carter Sweezy's probably one of my all-time favorites, him and Eli. So like you said, there's a lot of guys, but I think the number one thing is there's a lot of seniors that you don't know about who really made us different. They were in the weight room working harder than the guys that are starting. They were doing a lot of things behind the scenes that, nobody sees. And that's what makes us a little bit different, I think, is how much all of our kids enjoy the season and the relationships that we have.
Yeah. You've got a good base.
And going for two wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
You like the first one in the Highland Springs games, but
It wasn't that bad until you. It wasn't that. It doesn't matter. If you would have lost the game, it would have been bad.
You didn't like
no, I like it. I love it. Look,
you like it,
Coach? We talk.
And you know what
we
happens?
talk about momentum.
Yeah, I was trying to get it back because I felt like we were slipping and trying to get that momentum back. And when you're used to scoring at 80% of all your touches, and you get in a game and 4 of your 5 possessions you don't score.
Right.
And then at halftime, you see guys a little bit down. You say, we get the ball in the second half, we're going to score, we're going to go for 2, and we're going to take the lead, and we're going to grab that momentum, and we're going to roll with it. And it's a gamble you take, but it's what you decide, not in an emotional moment, but that decision was made at halftime by me, not in the heat of the moment, because when you do the stuff in the heat of the moment, you make mistakes. So, it's one of those things. Plus, I thought if we didn't get it that time, then we can get it and hopefully get it back and go 1 for 2 on it instead of waiting and kicking it then and then going for 2 later. I'd rather go for 2 earlier and then I can get it back. I got a chance to get it back.
Yeah, I thought it was a good call, and it's one of those things. It definitely can grab momentum, but even if you don't get it, I think it shows your kids that you have confidence and faith in them. To even trust them to try it, and so that's huge. And one of the things I'll mention that I heard them when they were trying to break down momentum. One of the things they said is momentum is a lot of times it's just you can generate that momentum by the fact that you focusing on what you do well and being prepared. It's when people lose that momentum is when they're scattering. They don't, like you said, you had prepared, talked about it at halftime. So, and your kids, your plays, things that can happen. But I think that again goes back to the great coaching. Yep. Really good stuff.
I also wanted to bring up this, something I noticed the whole year is yet excellent kicking. Talk to us about your kickers. Don't you have a different field goal kicker than a kickoff, or am I mistaken?
No, it's the same kid. Dylan.
Man,
I can't even.
He's gonna kick. He should kick in college. I don't know, but he's really, really good. And then I was looking at the juniors. Hey, all you juniors out there, Zeke and everybody else, he has you losing 5 games. So think about that in the weight room.
No way.
And all that.
No way.
So I had a Stonebridge shirt, but I forgot to do the laundry.
I had a Byrd and Kirk shirt.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. We were thinking about
putting get you one, Coach. Take one over there to him.
We were thinking about putting on some Grand Funk Railroad for you to get you back in the day. But so next year you're being modest, but you don't rebuild, you reload, and you're gonna have a good team next year. We know the kids that play. How about some kids that are going to come up? Like you talked about some kids that really rose up this year. Talk about some, not to put expectations, but some players we're going to see next year really coming up that we can look forward to.
Well, you saw Zeke make the play at the end. I mean, he's going to be a major player for us, and Deuce Skeeter also. I mean, they're the 2 guys skill wise that are going to have to really step their game up. Now that doesn't mean they didn't play well this year, but it's a whole different level when you're the feature guys and you're the guys that are going to have to step up and make plays all the time when they're going to look to you for those plays. And
right,
offensive line wise, we're going to have to rebuild that, but we got some guys back, and defensive line. We're going to lose a lot of starters. We don't return that many year in and year out. Most of our seniors are the starters, and so it's going to be I think Mario Suarez, he's going to probably be the quarterback. He's going to, what level is he going to step to now after playing behind Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
But Jacob was a first-year guy too, and he had to do the same thing a year ago. So he got to see it, and he understands it, and he's a student of the game. So we're excited about you get the coach in the off season and get these guys ready and get them in the right place. And this is the off season makes the season. I mean, you got to get guys in the right place. Get them bought in, and then get ready for the run.
Right. Yeah,
Coach.
Go ahead, Rusty.
I just wonder, is your schedule already set for next year? Like, is it all 10 games already set, or do you have some space where you can add some teams, or those outside of the district games, or is it already set?
Yeah, it's pretty much set. It's a 2-year cycle, so it's home and away. So
That's what 2-year cycle.
We play the same schools and all that. I mean, I love. One of the things that we're just trying to do is we're just trying to get. We understand that down 757 area and Richmond area, there's great football, and we're trying to get that kind of a reputation in Northern Virginia, and it's tough. I mean, it's they are the king. I mean, you go south to play, and it's tough football, and we're just trying to create a little bit of consistency so that we can compete year in and year out, and take our shot with those guys, and that's what we enjoy. So I would love to play more regular season games with some of the teams in Richmond and in the beach area, but it's just been hard to schedule because one of COVID, and two is just we get locked in these 2-year cycles, and it's tough.
2-year cycles, yeah, yep. Is it possible that you could scrimmage Oscar Smith? I know back in the day when it was always when there was always this Phoebus and it was Oscar Smith thing. So before they actually played a way with a schedule a game, they scrimmaged each other a couple of times. Just I know when I was in Bethel, we always tried to scrimmage Highland Springs. And so that was, really, really good preparation for the year. But, if you get a chance and you could work out maybe something with Oscar Smith, I would be there.
Okay.
So I want to reemphasize that, you are in a unique club now. You've won state to back-to-back in the same year. And like I said, I think there's only been about 20. I looked at the Virginia high school record book. So, there's very few coaches that have done it. And by the way, you're doing it at a school that was built 20 years ago. So that is amazing, especially when you look at some of the schools around here. We talked about, Independence got good pretty fast, but there's some other programs. Heritage has gotten good, but it took them a long time. It took Phoebus 11 years before they had a winning record. So great coach. And segueing, we talked about this before. On Thursday, the great Mike Smith, 506 victories, 99 losses in 51 years, announced his retirement on Thursday. We're hoping to get him on. We're working on that. But I know you've spoken to Coach Smith. He's only one of 3 coaches in the United States to get 500 wins. Wanted to give you the opportunity to say something about Coach Mike Smith at Hampton High School.
Well, one of the things that he put Virginia on the map, in my opinion, and really made it good for what we're seeing now, and the respect that we get in Virginia for football is really due to him. He got things started. He got the Virginia High School League Coaches Association started. He got the All-Star game started. I mean, what he's done for high school football, not only in wins and losses, but just in the respect and what he's just done for everybody in Virginia. So, and it's just like everything else. You got people who love him, hate him, but the thing is they don't know him, and that's the biggest thing. Like all I know is positive with him. I mean, he was positive towards me. He was what he's done for the game, and that's what I measure him by. And I got the utmost respect for what he's done. Yeah.
Thank you for saying that about him. Another thing I want to point out is when you're very successful, envy and jealousy, it's going to happen. But I do know for a fact there have been some kids that have gone to him from different high schools. He's gotten them a scholarship. And I know that there's also high school coaches that have gone to him for advice. And it's like, hey, let's talk. So, Coach, I want to challenge your players coming back that, you got them losing five games out of 10. So, when they need that extra get up, it's good for those weightlifting sessions. But it's been a fun year. And when we go to the beach with you, he picked you to lose to Highland Springs. I never picked you to lose. So I just want you to
it was to motivate you. If I hadn't done that, you guys, you wouldn't have been this, entrenched in what your game plan when in that practice that week. You're like, I got to prove Rusty wrong. I'm sure that's what did it.
Yeah, that was it.
yeah, that was it. Coach, last thing I want to ask you, because I will say this, I didn't play for Mike Smith. Growing up, we lived in the Hampton zone for a long time. So up until about middle school, I thought I'd be a crabber. But then we moved, but I was blessed to play for Coach Dennis Kozlowski. And Coach Koz won 3 state championships, and I was blessed to play that Hampton Bethel game, which was always the last game of the year. So I just want to say how much I appreciate what Mike Smith did for the area where, I grew up in, what it meant for me as a child going to watch Hampton High School play like that. We didn't have professional sports down there, after the ABA left. So seeing Hampton High School was a big deal. And so the things that he did, as much as I wanted to beat them and being rivals, I've always respected and loved any team. Once they left our district, I was always pulling for them, Phoebus or Kickertan. So I have nothing but respect for the way Mike Smith did it, the way my Coach Kozlowski did it, and the way you've done it in Northern Virginia. So congratulations, and keep doing what you're doing, because a lot of people are talking about you the same way they talk about Mike Smith.
One quick closeout, and that is, please subscribe to us on YouTube, the Kirk and Byrd BYRD show, because we're going to have Carter, Eli, and Jacob on tomorrow. And also, we want to do interviews with basketball players, boys, girls, swimming, lacrosse. We're going to do some more college interviews. We got some coaches coming up, etc. So we want to make sure everybody subscribes to us. But I wanted to point something out, something that I noticed at Stonebridge games. And that is, I've never been to a high school football game where the parents get in a circle and pray before the game. And I think that's special. And when we're in the stands, and I've been in the stands, I sat by myself because he abandoned me. But it reminds me of a lot of Virginia Tech, except, there's no bourbon and Cokes. But it's like, everybody's friends, man, just like high-fiving and all this stuff. So really love the atmosphere at Stonebridge. Reminds us a lot of home, because man, we sold out games and you had to be there in the playoffs. We used to sell our tickets at the bank, a little local bank. You had to go to the principal's office. So great season. Thank you. We appreciate you. And hey, you're one of the best, and we appreciate you. To everybody out there in the Stonebridge family, congratulations. And we'll have the kids on tomorrow. And, next year when you win again, we'll have you on, and we'll remind you that you picked yourself to go 500.
Will you have me on if we're 5-5?
If you're 5-5?
Yeah.
We're just using you, man. If you don't win, no, man. No. We'll go over to Riverside.
I'm make a correction.
Woodgrove.
He didn't predict they would go 5-5. He just feels that way right now.
I know
he didn't predict it. That those kids did no. He knows what he's doing.
You've got great football players coming back. You've got a system, just like Mike Smith. You've got a system. We know you're going to be good next year. You're fun to watch because the kids are disciplined. They play well. And I do want to close out, because I said we were going to close out. But I will say this. That Freedom game, Rusty, and the way they're playing now, world of difference. Those kids got better. And that last drive, I was like, I know Stonebridge is going to win this game. So, Coach, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking time out. And look forward to talking to the kids tomorrow. And congratulations on back-to-back state championships.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, Kirk and Byrd.
And we enjoy the rest of your holidays. God bless you, Coach.
All right, God bless, Coach.